So this is using the regression formula that you made in Stata, that I show in my example in Stata. You'll get slightly different data when you make it yourself. But Stata runs this regression of cases on year, and it's running a time trend, what we call a linear time trend, through the number of cases. The cases of COVID, cases of whatever, the number of hospital beds that you need, and you use that regression equation to do it over time. So if you go back to my Stata slides, when you see the regression, you see it highlights two things. It highlights that negative 74098.1, that's what we call the intercept or the constant, and then 37.8, that's what we call a coefficient on year, the estimate of the effective year. Right? That's the equation for the slope of a line. So you plug in any year, and it'll give you the number of cases for that year. And remember, we're predicting it. We're forecasting it out over time. So we're predicting the future number of cases in any year we want. And you could use that equation in the first line of the slide, first line of the video, to predict the number of cases in any year. Remember, it's a prediction. It's calculated using this formula. We don't know how many cases there's going to be in 2022, but we use that regression equation from Stata. Remember, negative 74098.1 plus 37.8. And then we multiply 37.8 by whatever year we want. So if it's 2022, we're going to multiply 37.8 times 2022. So remember, it's a constant, and then if it's coefficient on year. So then when you do the regression in Stata, you'll get a little different numbers than these. And you'll use those numbers to calculate it for some other year. And I'll ask you that in the quiz to make sure you do it. Right, so you'll get a different regression equation. You're not going to have 74098.1. You'll have some other number. And you're not going to get 37.8. You'll have some other number, because I'll give you a little different data in Stata. And then I'll give you some year. So here it's 2022, but it could be any year. So you multiply the year 2022 by 37.8. We call that coefficient on year. 37.8. You get 76431.6. Minus what we call that intercept, or that constant from the regression equation from Stata, 74098.1. Subtract those numbers, the same thing as adding the number and the negative number, and we're predicting 2,333.5 cases in 2022. There's not going to be one half of a case, but remember, it's a prediction. It's calculated using a formula, which is why we get 0.5 instead of some whole number. So that's the number of cases projected or predicted for 2022.